Good evening and welcome to the 2022 Apex Awards. My name is Brian Tollefson. I'm one of your co-hosts tonight, and I'm the current president of the Washington State Bar Association Board of Governors.
Hello everyone, my name is Dan Clark and I'm your co-host. I'm the president-elect of the State Bar and I will be assuming office in the upcoming days. I'm from Yakima and I'm a civil senior deputy prosecuting attorney for Yakima County.
Hey, we're delighted to bring you the 2022 Apex Awards from the Washington State Bar Association Conference Center in downtown Seattle. We hope you'll sit back, relax, and enjoy the show from the comfort of your home or wherever you are. The Apex Awards celebrates the legal luminaries of the legal profession across the state as we acknowledge professional excellence.
I'd like to give a moment to recognize our current Board of Governors. Some of our members will be rolling off the board at the end of this fiscal year, at the end of September. I can say from having the honor of serving on this board over the last 5 years, what a tremendous honor it is to serve, but also what a tremendous amount of time and dedication it is that each and every member of our board puts into service of our organization, for our members, and to serve the public. So at this time, I would really like to take a moment to recognize and honor each and every member of our Board of Governors. First and foremost is our current WSBA President, retired Judge Brian Tollefson. Next is the FY21 President and current immediate past President, Kyle Schicchetti. We have 3 at-large governors, Governor Hunter Abell, Governor Alex Stevens, and Governor Jordan Couch. And we have 11 district governors. From District 1, Governor Sunitha Angevel. From District 2, Governor Carla Higginson. District 3, Governor Lauren Boyd. District 4, myself, Daniel Clark. District 5, Governor Francis Anawali. District 6, Governor Brett Puchler. District 7, Governor North. Matthew Drisden. District 7, Governor South. Serena Sayani. District 8, Governor Brent Williams Ruth. District 9, Governor, and current WSBA Treasurer, Brent Peterson. District 10, Governor, Tom McBride. Please join me in taking a round of applause for the service of our current FY22 Board of Governors.
Thank you, Governors, for your leadership and your volunteering to serve our members and the people of Washington State.
Throughout the evening, feel free to congratulate our awards recipients on Twitter using the bar's handle and hashtag below.
Now, let's get on with the show. Our first group of deserving award recipients include the Legal Innovation Award, the Professionalism Award, and the Outstanding Young Lawyer Award. We end the group with the Sally P. Savage Leadership in Philanthropy Award.
Davis Wright Germain has always had a rich and deep history of giving back to the community. We were able to look at pro bono through a more innovative lens. You've got Davis Wright Germain and the attorneys that want opportunities that align with their skill sets and interests to actually do that work. You've got companies and in-house legal departments that also want to give of their time and talent. And then you've got legal service organizations that do this work day in and day out. And they're also looking for strategic, thoughtful partners. That combination of those 3 players allow for the building of flagship initiatives, of nationwide projects that make a difference for underserved, marginalized, in-need, at-risk communities. And so when you are able to make that work, the impact is incredible and it's very powerful.
Amazon, as a legal department, has done quite a bit of pro bono, and we've always tried to think about how we can do more and do it bigger. One of the really neat, innovative techniques that Davis Wright came to us with was this idea of partnering with them to help kind of solve that gap where if you didn't have the expertise or knowledge on how to do things, you could kind of supplement that with the folks from Davis Wright Germain. One idea was to partner with an organization called KIND, Kids in Need of Defense, and the Special Immigrant Juvenile Status Cases. We had heard all these stories about 10-year-old children having to go to hearings unrepresented, and to potentially have up to 2 to 4 of us between Amazon and Davis Wright to come in, understandably changed the odds. The folks at KIND said we had in one fell swoop take on the largest number of cases in their history. For us, it was an interesting and eye-opening moment to realize that we could leverage and scale our ability to do pro bono through partnerships like this that Davis Wright Tremaine had helped to put together.
The partnership between a company, Microsoft, that cares so deeply about journalism, and Davis Wright Tremaine, that has the #1 renowned media and First Amendment practice in the nation, was this really powerful combination of two entities that wanted to work for a constituency that was underserved and underrepresented to do some good in the world. And that's exactly what happened through ProJourn.
This program really has as its North Star the view that our democracy needs journalists. And if the law is being used as a weapon to silence journalists, then lawyers can stand up and support in ways that are really critical. When we started on this 2.5-year journey together, there wasn't a qualified legal service provider. So what the pro bono departments of Microsoft and Davis Wright Tremaine did is we created the screening committee. This is not usually what law firms and legal departments do. What we were really doing was building out an internal set of processes for how to train people up, how to identify journalists, how to ensure that they were meeting the standards for pro bono, how to ensure there was no conflicts. We've supported more than 40 different matters across 22 journalists. So what started with Microsoft and Davis Wright Tremaine has now evolved to investment from the Knight Foundation and leadership from the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press. We've enlisted more law firms to come in and help grow this.
In the last 3 years, we went from working with just a handful of corporations and in-house legal departments like Amazon and Microsoft to over 100 in-house legal departments that we've either partnered with directly on cases, on legal clinics, or have consulted with them on how to structure and scale their in-house legal efforts.
Innovation and commitment to pro bono is really one of the many hallmarks of Davis Wright Tremaine. So well deserved. Congratulations.
In the last 20 years, nobody has contributed more to educating lawyers about their ethical responsibilities, their professional responsibilities than Mark Fucile.
Whether I'm dealing with lawyers giving prospective advice on how to handle a situation, or law students teaching them what the rules are, it's that they understand the rules in a very practical way and try to anticipate where problem areas are and try to avoid problems in the first place, so that hopefully they will not have the experience of having to go out and either defend themselves or hire a defense lawyer to do it for them.
Mark and I have had a 2-person law firm with our paralegal Cigna for 17 years. He's my ethics guru. Mark's the only lawyer I know who's been practicing law for as long as he has, who really doesn't have any personal conflicts with other attorneys. And Mark has the ability to keep things calm and give perspective to whatever the issue might be.
When I first started practicing, it was in the military. We did courts-martials, and the training that I got in the military to deal with various situations you're not necessarily in control of has proven very helpful.
He's a past chair of the Washington State Bar Association Committee on Professional Ethics and its predecessor, the Professional Conduct Committee. He's the editor-in-chief and a contributing author for the WSBA Legal Ethics Textbook and a principal editor and contributing author of the WSBA Law of Lawyering in Washington. He has authored over 250 articles on the subject.
I've often thought in the back of my mind, surely I'm going to run out of ideas. Then I'll have some situation that comes up and I think, wow, that's a really good idea for a column. It's not like I necessarily have ever had to go out and look for material.
He has spoken at an innumerable number of CLEs and seminars.
On a very basic level, you need to be able to communicate what the rule is and why it is. And having to do that, I think I've always learned something new.
Mark has an encyclopedic knowledge of our professional responsibilities, and he couples that with, in my opinion, exquisite judgment. he is somebody that you can absolutely rely on.
They're satisfying when you can help somebody navigate a situation and they navigate it safely, they do it well for their client, and the good result is one you never hear about.
Most people do not know he's a serial golden retriever owner. They said Gold is Sunshine and Daisy is the current Golden that does attend the Zoom meetings with him. Mark, I'm very proud of this accomplishment for you. Signa and I both are very happy for you. Congratulations. It couldn't have gone to a better person.
Sophia is a managing attorney in the Legal Affairs Division at the Office of the Insurance Commissioner for Washington State.
The agency as a whole works very hard to protect Washington consumers and also maintain the integrity of the insurance industry. It's provided me a lot of experience and opportunities to do a variety of work. Some of those opportunities involve enforcement type work that would protect the community, bill analysis, the passing of laws, and then also we serve on rulemaking teams to clarify the laws that have passed.
Sophia is deserving of this award as the State Bar's outstanding young lawyer because she demonstrated great leadership in a time of a lot of uncertainty because we were in the middle of the pandemic. We had many vacancies and she's hiring new attorneys onto the team, guiding these new staff attorneys during legislative session, which is one of our busier times. Sophia stepped into that role without missing a beat.
Sophia is a very talented and brilliant attorney who really brings out the best in the attorneys that she manages.
I enjoy working with others, but also helping create a team.
She has this amazing skill to highlight what you've done well. And she has an amazing ability to help you see where it can be better. She puts kindness, fairness, and empathy at the forefront of her decision making.
As a young lawyer, Sophia brings confidence, professionalism, collegiality. She's kind of rallied all of the staff attorneys in our office to want to work with her.
We did have a series of cases against insurance producers that fraudulently enrolled consumers in insurance policies.
She's added an additional component to it where we require now companies to return premiums and other funds that should go back to consumers. That's just one of the things that she's brought to the table.
The work is very much rewarding because every day when we're working on cases, we can feel the impact of it and how it's helping the community and the public.
Sophia, congratulations on winning this award. Our division thanks you. I know our deputy and the commissioner are very proud of you.
I'd like to thank my family for the support through law school. I'd like to thank Charles and Andrea. They've served as great role models. I'd like to thank my office for providing me an opportunity to work at the OIC and allowed me to work with a great group of individuals and also develop my skills as a new attorney.
What a great group of award winners. Our next award is the Sally P. Savage Leadership in Philanthropy Award, which is presented in partnership with the Washington State Bar Foundation.
Greetings. I'm Tracy Flood, president of the Washington State Bar Foundation Board. Congratulations to Amanda Dubois for receiving the Sally P. Savage Leadership in Philanthropy Award. She exemplifies and embodies the spirit of the Sally P. Savage Award through her work with formerly incarcerated individuals and many other endeavors. The foundation supports WSBA programs that empower people, programs that ensure everyone has access to legal help, and that advances a diverse and inclusive profession. Thank you to everyone for their support. You are making a difference. Congratulations again, Amanda. You inspire us all.
Amanda Dubois is truly an inspiration. What Amanda brings to the world is her energy, her can-do attitude, her leadership. She started her own practice after being a nurse for many years.
I think of Amanda as a transformative philanthropist. Amanda sees a way she can not only help financially, but she does much more. She identifies practical ways to transform the system. First, she founded the Civil Survival Project.
The way that I got into the whole formerly incarcerated world is that I had written a series of books, and they were about basic legal rights and responsibilities. I ended up teaching this class about these books to a group of people that had been in prison. So I'm like, I'm just going to teach them how to be a good employee and how to rent an apartment and how to sign a lease, and it seemed very straightforward, and they were all taking notes and listening. And then there was a person who says, excuse me, the only problem is we can't get a job and we can't get a place to live because we're all felons. And then they started teaching me about what it was like to come out of prison, and the stories were heart-wrenching. They were completely set up to fail. I got this idea that we should teach people who had been in prison to organize themselves so that they would have a voice in our political system and making policies that would make their lives better.
She does have an active family law practice, and family law is emergency to emergency, and yet here she was, somebody whose background was not at all in criminal law, and saw this problem and decided she could actually make a difference and do something about it. It's pretty amazing, I think.
Finally, I decided that what I should do is put together a workshop. So we had 75 formerly incarcerated people. We work on teaching about civics and how a bill becomes a law and how to change laws and how to speak with legislators. Then we had everybody practice telling their stories. And then I had legislators come in at the end of the day. We would have the participants telling their stories. The first workshop we did was in Seattle. Then we started doing workshops all around the Puget Sound area, and everybody was tearing up and the legislators were tearing up. My hypothesis was working. It's like, if you heard these stories, you would want to help them. And then they started to, and then they built relationships. And ultimately, Tara Simmons, who's now the executive director of Civil Survival, just got elected to the legislature over in Kitsap.
Amanda, maybe she didn't know what the end goal was going to be or how it was going to unfold, but she certainly took one step after another to make sure that those people she wanted to help could actually get the opening they needed in the world to reach their own fulfillment, their own potential, and contribute to society.
People that went to the workshop got excited about it and they wanted to help. And I just figured, oh, we'll have all these great volunteers. But as it turns out, when you are in a demographic that has limited resources, you don't have the capacity to volunteer. You can't say, let's all drive down to Olympia. It became, well, who's going to pay for the gas? And what about if we're going to have lunch? And they started explaining this to me, like, we would love to do this, but we need to somehow be paid. I'm super lucky and privileged because I happen to own a law firm and have resources. And I thought, well, okay, I'll pay. I made an LLC, and then I'm paying salaries to people. And that went on for a year or two. So then I thought, we'll make it into a nonprofit, and everybody who works here or in the leadership needs to be formerly incarcerated. Tara graduated from law school, and then she became a lawyer all along that time she was running it. Then my job just became to mentor Tara, and then she hired other activists who have been formerly incarcerated, and now they are running the organization, and they're brilliant, and they're doing amazing work, and I'm just their cheerleader.
Amanda has helped to fix parts of the system in Washington that have historically brought so many people right back to prison. This doesn't just help the formerly incarcerated, it helps their children, and it helps all of our communities. Civil survival is not all. This year, Amanda created the Full Circle Scholarship at Seattle University Law School for a student whose life has been directly impacted by the criminal justice system. The third and most recent aspect of her philanthropy is Amanda has also written a great new medical legal mystery, The Complication, and she's donating the proceeds of her novel to Civil Survival and to other social justice reform organizations she supports.
Amanda, congratulations. You are an inspiration to me and to many of my colleagues and friends. And we hope we grow up to be like you and make an impact on this world.
I would like to thank all of my friends in the formerly incarcerated community. The big thanks goes to Tara Simmons and all of the people on her staff and all of my friends who have taught me so much about the trauma that they've survived in the system. There are solutions, and I think if we could get out of our own ways, we could fix things.
We hope you can all support the Washington State Bar Foundation. Our second group of award recipients includes the Angelo Petrus Award for Lawyers in Government Service, the Pro Bono and Public Service Award for a group, and the Pro Bono and Public Service Award for an individual, and the Justice Charles Z. Smith Excellence in Diversity Award.
Commander Lundwall is the perfect combination of fierce adversary and compassionate human being. Commander Lundwall's 8 years of practice as a Navy VLC in growing, expanding, and evolving a brand new area of practice in victims' rights and advocacy makes her most deserving of this award.
I graduated from law school when I was 23, and I joined the military when I was 27. I did 4.5 years on active duty, and then I went into the reserves. Right out of coming out of active duty, about 9 years total, I was a criminal prosecutor in Island and Clallam counties, and I did everything. It was a natural progression, but I ended up being in charge of all the sexual assault cases and all the cases involving children. The Victim Legal Counsel program and the Special Victim Counsel programs within the services were mandated by Congress with the Defense Authorization Act of 2013. The attorneys would represent victims of crimes under Article 120. It covered sexual assault, sexual contact, stalking, and it also covered child sex crimes.
She was one of the first reserve JAGs who raised her hand and volunteered to become a victims legal counsel, and she has taken victims legal counsel roles one after another because she believes in that mission.
In her first tour in Washington, D.C., Commander Lundwall stood up the office from nothing. Next, she went to Gulfport, Mississippi, and after Gulfport, Mississippi, Commander Lundwall agreed to stand up our first office for the VLC in Whidbey Island, Washington. Not just legal support, but all of the mental health support and all the victim advocacy that they could possibly have in the region.
It was a learning process. I had some great colleagues, very smart people, and so we were able to put together a system that actually worked. What was unique is that victims were going to be provided with representation. They're given input and also an ownership of the process.
Commander Lundwall represented several hundred clients, advising several hundred more, and appeared in more than 20 courts-martial, and including negotiating for administrative processing of offenders when court-martial wasn't a possibility.
I saw some pretty extreme cases of rape and violence. It happens to everyone, from very junior enlisted sailors all the way up to senior officers. About 10% had been male. The vast majority of my clients wanted the right to be heard, and I would explain basically how the court system worked and reasonable doubt. They need to know exactly what they're getting into. Even the child clients that I worked with, when I was a criminal prosecutor, there was a book that we used to help prepare child witnesses. I got in touch with Robin Light and I asked her permission to develop her book into something from the military, and she said yes. So I translated the language to use the terminology in the military court system.
And it is illustrated entirely by Commander Lundwall.
That's currently still in use in all the Navy bases all over the world. And I've heard from my fellow VLCs that it's actually been quite successful in helping kids understand and prepare to testify.
I can tell you that you don't want to meet Commander Lundwall in court. She is a fierce litigator, and she is a brilliant strategist.
When I was working with my clients, I was 100% in their corner. I would tell them, I'm your pit bull. You tell me sick 'em, I sick 'em. You tell me stay, I stay. You will absolutely call the shots as to what I do on your behalf.
But if you're 5, she's going to get on the floor and she's going to color with you. And if you're 10, she's going to play video games with you.
The most rewarding part of my job was watching people get stronger. Rape is a crime of power and control. And watching my clients take power back and get control over the process, I have seen them go from so damaged to so brave.
You could tell how much she cared, not just with respect to the crime, but with an eye towards how this person would recover in the future. She made sure that that client would have the support to do it, and she leveraged military resources and civilian resources.
I would like to thank my parents, who have both shaped who I have been. My mother is a lawyer and my father is a naval officer.
And I want to congratulate you. On behalf of the United States Navy Victims Legal Counsel Program, I want to thank you for your 8 years of stellar service to your clients and to this program and to the evolution of this legal practice area worldwide. Your legacy will be felt for years and years to come.
Sexual Violence Law Center is a nonprofit legal aid provider that serves survivors of sexual violence and gender-based violence. Our services for survivors are free. We have a staff of attorneys, and then we have an amazing group of pro bono attorneys who volunteer their time to our clients as well.
Our number one priority is always going to be survivor voices and making sure their truth is heard, recognized, validated, and acknowledged.
SVLC understood the importance of an intersectional approach to civil legal aid work far before many other civil legal aid organizations were ready to do that. They approach their work from a holistic perspective. They do their best to support survivors through every legal problem that they come to them with. And that is entirely unique in the state of Washington.
We provide services in civil protection orders, criminal protection orders.
If they have another legal issue related to their sexual assault, we can help them with that as well. Like an employment issue where their boss isn't letting them have time off to go to court, or a housing issue where they need to get off their lease because they were living with their abuser. So we're able to help prevent re-traumatization by handling multiple cases at once. In addition to direct representation, we do our legal hotline where survivors and community members can call in and get advice and counsel on issues or technical assistance. I just really love working with survivors. I really feel a calling to give a voice to people that I think voices are silenced too frequently.
The way that they have been able to, over the years, work on multiple levels. They're doing trial level legal work with survivors in court every day. They're also plugged in to public policy work, community involvement, and really bringing a lot of us along to make sure that we center the voices of survivors in the work that we do.
The amount of work that is done to educate people on what domestic violence and what sexual assault and what all these other protection orders mean, it is just very encouraging to see that people are starting to finally understand that this is a huge, huge issue.
The protection order process is now more modernized, more cohesive. We've improved our definition of domestic violence, and they have been leaders in all of that. Congratulations to all of the attorneys, paralegals, volunteers at Sexual Violence Law Center who day in and day out change the lives of survivors.
Thank you for supporting our indignation and our passion and our fire for this mission. It cannot be done without the partners and the support we have. We're very grateful, and now comes more.
Bill is very deserving of the Washington State Bar Association Apex Pro Bono and Public Service Award because of all of the time that he has provided and committed to helping develop pro bono opportunities to support military veterans. We're really grateful that Bill has been such a leader in this space and has made these opportunities available to Microsoft employees.
So I'm Bill Hayden. I'm a senior counsel at Microsoft. I was never a lawyer on active duty. I spent 21 years in active duty in the reserves and the Navy. And so when it comes to veterans, they have a special place in my heart. They volunteer to leave their homes, their families, the safety and security of what could be just a regular 9-to-5 job. And they go overseas oftentimes and in harm's way. And so I think it's really imperative that we as citizens help take care of those veterans. So a little over 10 years ago, I had the opportunity with a group of others in the Microsoft legal department to put together a team of veterans, and it became a Veterans EN or Employee Network. We wanted to also educate others of the complex legal issues that folks who are on active duty military as lawyers and paralegals that they face every day.
And then he took it to another level. He literally rallied the troops to actually show up with the skills that we have to support veterans. That's hard work that creates real impact. He's a force multiplier, and that specifically manifested in deep engagement with the National Veterans Legal Services Program.
Bill has personally represented disabled veterans and helped them to get combat-related special compensation.
There are veterans who have been injured with injuries they're going to have to live with throughout the rest of their lives. And while there are programs by the federal government and the Veterans Administration, it's not always clear to veterans how to even ask for those benefits. And oftentimes they're not even aware that they're eligible for those benefits. So programs that can help link lawyers and other professionals to support and help the veteran navigate those programs are vital to ensure that the veterans get the benefits they deserve.
Bill is a very busy attorney at Microsoft. So in addition to his regular work, his own pro bono cases, he's also providing training, providing mentorship, providing support to the Microsoft employees who sign up to take on cases.
He is proof that we can make a difference. He's such an effective leader. He really helps us walk forward with empathy.
I never expected to get such an award. It's very, very meaningful to me because I know the veterans we've helped. So I want to thank all of those folks who have taken the time to take on these cases. And I will keep on fighting for our veterans and look for new, novel ways to ensure that we're getting them the benefits they deserve.
What diversity means to Q Law Foundation is not just that everyone has a seat at the table, but that we are led by queer and trans people and Black, Indigenous, and people of color in our organization. We work towards equity and racial justice not because it's just the right thing to do, but also because our survival as communities depends on it.
Q Law Foundation really is hoping to fill the gap for folks that aren't able to get legal services elsewhere or who don't feel comfortable getting services elsewhere.
I really was scared to work with a lawyer. A lot of times you can go somewhere and they will speak to the BIPOC issues that you may be dealing with, or they'll speak to the LGBTQ plus issues that you are dealing with in society. But with Q Law, we didn't have to code switch with either of our intersectionalities was very important.
We are really part of our communities and engaged in our communities as people and not just as lawyers and legal services providers.
Q Law Foundation offers several different legal clinics every month. Those clinics provide free legal services, free consultations. Since our clinics are remote, we're able to reach people all across the state.
One of the most striking things I see in this work and that I've learned from our communities is the impact that it has on us to be someone else's political football. What we see in our legal clinic is the individuals who are paying the price of that. The kids that are assaulted in their schools, the community members who can't work and live in their communities and feel safe because of these forces of divisiveness. And we really work to be a support and an antidote and leading and caretaking our communities towards justice.
We reached out to Q Law because we were looking for some help with a second parent adoption. We wanted to make sure that both of us were the boys' legal parents.
It was a really, really nice feeling, almost like family-like.
It was like they were very quick to learn our family dynamics, address our pronouns, understand what we wanted to protect our children from and what we wanted to open them up to as far as the process.
Many of the community legal needs that we see are similar to those that you might see at any other civil legal aid organization. We have housing issues, we have family law issues, we have employment issues, we have consumer issues, but we also see a fair number of issues that are really specific to our communities. Things like healthcare discrimination. We have a long legacy in our communities of what it feels like when you can't visit your partner in the hospital, or when you have to worry about what are the personal beliefs of the nurse I'm going to have to talk to in order to take care of my partner, in order to take care of my child. And we see a lot of concerns, particularly amongst our LGBTQ parents, since the Dobbs decision, who are really worried about making sure that their relationship with their children and their legal relationships as a family are safe.
We love Q Law. I'm just thankful that we reached out to Q Law so that they could navigate us through that, because we knew what we wanted to do. We just had no idea how to get there. And they kind of laid the pathwork for us. It was just that last missing piece that needed to be put together for our family to be whole.
Because we're both recognized as their parents, it definitely makes it easier to register them for school, to take them to the doctor's office. Both of us are emergency contacts, and it gives us a sense of security and safety.
When our communities trust us to be their support, to be their advisor, to be part of community-centered coalitions and their community organizing. That is the highest honor for us.
We are about mid-year. The way that things are going will double the amount of clients that we're seeing this year in comparison to years past.
I am so deeply honored for Q Law Foundation to receive the Justice C.Z. Smith Diversity Award. My deepest and lifelong gratitude to the communities we serve. You teach us how to find the right path, you teach us how to care for one another, and you teach us how to build a future together.
Our third group of videos include the Norm Mailing Leadership Award, the Outstanding Judge Award, and the Lifetime Service Award. Afterwards, please stay tuned for a special clip about Chief Justice Mary Fairhurst and the renaming of the State Bar's highest honor, the Award of Merit.
My name's Reedy Mukapade. I'm the director at the Sexual Violence Law Center.
Reedy truly is a leader, and she's the expert. If you need anything for sexual violence, she is the one you want to go to.
Everybody's against domestic violence. Everybody is against sexual assault, but it's just so prevalent. Like 1 in 3 women are going to experience sexual violence in their lifetime, 1 in 6 men, and then 1 in 2 non-binary, gender non-conforming people will experience sexual violence in their lifetime.
He has been trying to advocate to the legislature to change some of the laws regarding the domestic violence and other protection orders that are available to the public to make the petition easier for someone to navigate. She's worked on Court Rules Committee trying to make the forms for these protection orders more easily navigable. It's a complicated legal process, and she's helping to make it accessible to everybody.
The legal system sometimes doesn't want to make the difficult decisions to protect survivors. This week, for example, a close friend of mine lost his sister to domestic violence. Her ex killed her in front of their kids. What so often our clients are experiencing is a lack of respect when they have to navigate the legal system. Seeing just how hostile the system can be in response to survivors coming forward, that's what motivates me to be at SVLC, to make sure that survivors have a path to justice and a path to accountability. Righteous rage is what feeds my soul and feeds me to do this work.
She's trying to get detectives investigating rape cases in Seattle.
What we're seeing around sexual assault cases not getting investigated, cases getting backlogged, are just another example of how, when it comes to gender-based violence, when it comes to sexual violence, these are just not priority areas for systems. It's gonna take a lot of undoing and a lot of self-awareness and self-critique to unthread that and ensure that our justice system really is free of rape culture.
In my mind, I picture Reedy being the national leader of anything regarding sexual violence. I think if she can get into every ear of every leader in the country, the way the work is done would really change.
One of the things I love about SVLC is we take a multifaceted approach on reform and holding systems accountable. We've been working with the Washington State's Criminal Justice Training Center to train detectives on how to be trauma-informed when it comes to investigating sexual assault cases. We've worked on engaging with technology platforms through our technology-enabled course of control initiative to ensure that survivors who are experiencing tech-based abuse have a more responsive system. We're providing trainings and supporting attorneys so that they can work in more trauma-informed ways with vulnerable populations, and working on policy and legislation so that the laws are more responsive to survivor needs.
To describe Reedy, I would say she's a powerhouse, compassionate, and fierce. Reedy is like the rallying cheerleader who's going to pump everyone up like, yes, let's do this now. Let's get it together, guys.
She is warm and kind and funny, and she cares deeply about her clients. If there's someone she can't help, she tries to figure out a way, well, how can we help this community next time?
I would love for there to be as many paths to justice as a survivor can imagine. We wonder why survivors don't report or why not as many survivors decide to come forward. And it's because the system doesn't respond. So by holding perpetrators accountable through this legal system, we can actually change culture. We need litigators. We also need policymakers, trainers, and mentors who are going to not only just change individual case law or individual statutes, but really change the culture.
Reedy, you are so deserving of this 2022 WSBA Apex Normaling Leadership Award. Congratulations. All of my heart and care goes out to you, and continue doing the work that you do.
Every day when I come on the bench, it is my goal to change the negative narrative that people have about the judicial criminal justice system. Yes, I see you. I will hear what you have to say, and you will get your day in court.
I really think of Judge Crawford Willis as this transformational force in people's lives. And I've seen it over and over again. As intelligent, as caring, as energetic, as enthusiastic, as justice-minded, she creates family everywhere she goes.
I didn't actually intend to become a judge. I actually just wanted to be a public defender, wanted to represent people who didn't have a voice, people who looked like me. And that goes all the way back to my parents. My dad took me to a trial to support my cousin. And when I saw how this lawyer was helping my cousin, I thought that's what I want to do.
She has her own, I call it the Judge Anita Crawford Willis pipeline, from high school to college, and then many of them go on to law school. And they come to us as law students at Seattle University. She calls them her babies. She mentors them throughout their time with us, and then they go out to become servant leaders.
I am one of Judge Crawford Willis's babies. There are so many of us. A lot of her babies, like me, are people who have not grown up with lawyers in the family. She has been my mentor since prior to law school, and she's helped me throughout my career.
Representation is so important, that we have women and that we have people of color represented in all areas of the legal system. When I was in the courtroom, I had a party appear before me, a young Black woman, and when she came out and she saw me, she just wept and she said, "Finally, I will be treated fairly." Our court really is a people's court, and I always like to tell parties that appear before me that I'm not judging you as a person, and I know that sounds funny because I'm a judge, but I'm judging the behavior that brought you here. And if I can give you some tools or say something that makes it better for you, then I feel that I have been successful.
Not all cases, not all people turn out well, but she's there and interested in doing what's right for the individual.
I believe in pulling others up, lifting as we climb, and people are able to change the world, and that's what it's all about.
Judge Anita Crawford Willis, you've set a good example for other judges because of not only your work in the courtroom, but your work in the community. Congratulations.
I really want to thank my nominators. Carolyn Ladd, thank you. I've admired you for many years. Thank you to my benchmate, Judge Willie Gregory, to my staff at Seattle Municipal Court. Thank you to my fabulous husband of 30 years and my beautiful daughter, a fierce up-and-coming leader, Taylor Willis.
Community organizing is all about community empowerment. That's essentially what I brought forward into my legal practice. It's empowering that individual to make their own choices and seek the resolution that they're looking for.
Gail has made an immeasurable difference in my life. Every decision I make is WWGD, what would Gail do? Really at the heart of it always is what is best for the client, and particularly underserved and under-resourced clients.
During his 40-year legal career, Gail worked with Seattle Legal Services, the Puyallup Tribe of Indians, the Seattle Indian Center Legal Services Program, the Northwest Justice Project, and was also in private practice for 35 years in Skagit County, first with Smith and Young, and then with Jones and Smith.
Legal aid, civil legal assistance in Northwest Washington would not look the same without Gail.
Starting Skagit Volunteer Lawyer Program was a continuation of my work with legal aid and seeing the need.
Coming into Skagit County, he talks with every single lawyer and finds ways to get people involved.
No attorney ever turned me down. And when I say that, they may have said no to me, but I interpreted that as not now, call me later. And when I called them later, they were willing to volunteer. There is a great generosity within the legal community that I firmly believe we've only begun to tap.
One of his long-lasting impacts is being able to identify, support, and uplift people who are passionate at Northwest Justice Project, at Skagit Legal Aid, at law advocates, in private practice. Gail has made an impression on all these individuals.
He was the board chair of the Skagit Legal Aid program. He had decades more experience than I did, but he always approached me as a thought partner. Some of the spaces that I valued the most is when we were doing what Gail would describe as dreaming and scheming and coming up with what new things could we do in the community to engage our volunteers and to serve clients. We worked on the deferred action for childhood arrival clinics, setting up the Housing Justice Project, which I think put Skagit Legal Aid in position to be able to jump into the right to counsel work. And I really treasured having that guidance, having that mentorship, especially early on in my career.
I had great mentors. I believe that I'm just sharing something that was given to me and I'm passing it on.
Gail always has strong opinions and he has principles that he will follow. So even if you disagree with him, he has a huge amount of integrity and credibility.
The ways in which he invites healthy dissent in order to help us move forward and make sure we're thinking through many different aspects of any given problem so that we can ultimately do a better job of what needs to be done. Gail is the Tom Brady of civil legal aid.
A couple of weeks ago, Gail had just retired from NJP. And I was surprised actually to see him pop up on the Zoom meeting. I said, okay, so you are retired and you're on vacation and you're on this Zoom meeting. And I think that perfectly illustrates his dedication.
I think that what I am most proud of is my family. I have had a wonderful legal practice and have enjoyed all of the individuals that I've worked with.
Congratulations, Gail.
Our final Apex Award is the highest award that we give, the Apex Award of Merit. I am tremendously honored and proud that recently, unanimously, our Board of Governors voted to rename this award the Chief Justice Mary E. Fairhurst Award of Merit. Mary was a true legal giant and legal luminary. Mary's service to our legal profession, both as a judge and as former WSBA bar president, had a tremendous positive impact on our organization, on our legal profession, and in serving the public. Mary was a role model to myself and to us all. I know, speaking for myself, and I'm sure many of you, we greatly miss Mary. And this renaming of the Apex Award after her, I believe, is the appropriate thing and the right thing to do. So before we see this year's recipient of WSBA's highest award, here are a few words from Mary's sister, Katie Taylor. I know many of you join me in missing Mary. Thank you.
When I think about my sister Mary, the words that come to mind are love, connection, miracles, and joy. Mary, from a very early age, was very service-minded. She said she wanted to be able to make decisions and make a difference. She wanted to have an influence and make an impact, and she really wanted to be a steward for justice. One of the things that was just so typical was that Mary knew the name of every custodian at the Temple of Justice or the AG's office or anywhere she was. And it was important to her that they knew how important their job was to everyone's shared success. Mary had a story, the starfish story, that I think she told hundreds, if not thousands of times. The whole beach line was full of starfish. And in the distance, you can see someone out there reaching down, picking up a starfish, throwing it into the ocean. And so they go and approach this person and said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "I'm throwing the starfish back into the ocean." And they'd say, why would you do that? You can't possibly make a difference. And they reached down, picked up a starfish, threw it back into the ocean, and said, "I made a difference to that one." She believed that anything was possible and believed that anyone could be the change that they wanted to see in the world, in their communities, and in their profession. Mary believed in miracles and wanted to make them happen. At the end of Mary's remarks at her last State of the Judiciary, she raised her arms to the sky in a joy pose and shared that she was overwhelmed with happiness, hope, and gratitude. One of the awards that was very meaningful to Mary was receiving the Washington State Bar Association's Award of Merit. Now, to have the award renamed for Mary is just very special because the State Bar holds such a special place in Mary's heart. Not only does it serve as a reminder of Mary's contributions, but it also shares her spirit and how proud she would be in all future winners and what they're doing to advance the justice for all people. A special congratulations to this year's recipient, Judge Jim Rogers. As I did research about you, I was so thrilled to see so many similarities between you and Mary. I know she would be so honored and proud of you and appreciative of all the great work that you do. Congratulations, Judge.
King County Superior Court is the largest court of general jurisdiction in the state, and we are the 12th largest in the country. When the COVID pandemic hit in 2020, Judge Rogers was our presiding judge, and from day one, he made it clear that we were going to keep the King County Superior Court open so that we could provide justice for all.
Everyone who watches this will remember what an incredible, chaotic situation it was in March of 2020. For us, it was about March 10th, and we suddenly realized we had to go into crisis mode. The Washington State Supreme Court ordered all courts to go to emergency functions to use telephonic or video means if possible.
We have sometimes over 5,000 people come into our courthouse every day. And so we wanted to make sure that of all the people that come into the courthouse, that there was a safe way to do it.
We came up with a public health plan thanks to professors from the University of Washington School of Public Health, Scott Meschke and Marty Cohen, and we resolved to stay open and reopen fully as soon as we could through some brand new innovative methods.
He has a strategic mind in the way the court operates, to make it run efficiently and accentuating all of our strengths. Judge Rogers always had a dogged vision of we can make this work. Whenever there was a new hurdle that came up, he would get us together and problem solve and then overcome that barrier and then go on to the next problem and solve that. He was relentless, and that's what really made him such a great leader during that very difficult time for the court.
When courts are shut down like that, you really realize that access is the essence of justice.
He was able to persuade the county council to provide some funding. We were able to get the technology in place.
In the fall of 2020, before there was any vaccines, we were fully open, trying jury cases in criminal and in civil. We did it first in a convention center, and then as we got more proficient in use of Zoom, we went all virtual on civil jury trials.
From that time until November of 21, we conducted 1,000 remote bench trials, and we also did over 300 jury trials. Over 100 of those were criminal cases where we had people here in person.
King County Superior Court tried more cases, bench, jury, hearings than any other court, any jurisdiction in the United States of America. All these new practices create greater access. One of the major innovations we've used is video voir dires. We're limited for the number of jurors by the number of seats we have in each courthouse, but with virtual voir dire, we can summon far more people. And what that means is that trials never wait for jurors. That's a huge change. And now we can get every case out that needs to get out. We have defendants who are waiting their trials that are out of custody. They can appear by video. We have parties who need to summon witnesses who are far away. They can appear by video. It's just so much more convenient for people, and we think it's highly effective.
Judge Rogers, I want to congratulate you on an incredible stewardship that you had in leading our court through this difficult time, really once in a century.
Jim, congratulations on this much-deserved award. It's only because you were at the helm that we were able to get through this time.
I'm honored to be given an award that's named after Chief Justice Fairhurst, who I worked with on the Board of Judicial Administration. She was a great leader and a model. I just want to thank Judge Robert Bryan, who really has been a role model for me. King County Superior Court, really during my time, benefited from having a tremendous leadership team, the leadership judges, the bailiffs, our judicial assistants, the staff. They were committed to the innovations because that's what we've done historically, and they knew this was an important moment in court history and brought us to where we are, which is, frankly, the #1 innovative court in the country.
What a night, and what an amazing and inspiring group of award recipients. Thank you very much for watching tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you to all of our award nominators for the time they took to highlight these incredible legal luminaries. If you know someone who deserves an Apex Award, the nominations open in January. A big thanks to Interchange Media, who created the award videos, and to the Gunther Group for their help in producing the Fairhurst videos and our virtual award show tonight. Good night, everyone.